2024 is not going to be a great time for real estate, and in this video, I'm going to give you 7 reasons why you should absolutely not buy a home. The first reason is risky loan products. Sometimes what happens when it's harder to buy a home, lenders will start to offer different loan products that can help you save money and ultimately be able to buy a home. However, some of these loan products aren't the best. An example is an adjustable rate mortgage or an ARM loan. How this works is when you first get the loan, you typically have a lower interest rate for a set amount of time. After that time, your rate can adjust every 6 months or a year. It really just depends on what your agreement is with the lender. This could be risky because your monthly payment can fluctuate, making it difficult for you to afford the payment. I'm also seeing lenders offering 0% down loans, which actually I think are great products, but sometimes the buyer isn't educated enough on some of the negative aspects, which basically comes down to not having a lot of equity in the home. Because of that, you probably need to live in the home for a while before you can build up enough equity where it makes financial sense for you to sell the home. When trying to find a lender, it makes sense to shop around and choose the person that's going to have your best interest in mind. The second reason why you shouldn't buy a home in 2024 is if you're not financially ready, which is a no-brainer, right? But sometimes it's kind of hard to know if you're financially ready to buy a home or not. I have a free affordability calculator. The link is in the description. If you have a low credit score, it might make sense to wait to buy a home and establish a better credit score. When you have a low credit score, your interest rate can be higher on your mortgage, which then increases your monthly payment, making your affordability less. Also, if you don't have a sufficient down payment, that can also lead to financial strain further down the line. You also want to have savings set up for additional costs that come with homeownership, like maintenance items or repairs that might come up. Being a homeowner is awesome, but it's also very expensive. Another reason not to buy a home in 2024 is the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes. If you're not familiar with the Federal Reserve, it's one of the main factors that can drive up mortgage interest rates. The interest rate has gone up about 5% in the past 2 years, which is pretty wild. Having a higher interest rate affects your affordability, as I mentioned earlier. So if interest rates continue to rise, it probably makes sense to hold off on buying a home. Another reason to wait is there might be interest rate cuts in the near future. I'm seeing some interest rate predictions for 2024 as low as about 6% by the end of 2024, which right now it's about 8%. So if you could shave off 2% in a year, well, that's pretty good. Now, I do want to be mindful here that I've seen these predictions before, and they're just that, predictions. The Mortgage Banker Association had predicted last year that the rates would end in 2023 at about 5.2%. The current interest rate is about 8%, so they didn't get that one right, which obviously happens with predictions. But if we do think that interest rates are going to go down soon, it probably makes sense to just wait until the interest rates go down and then buy a home. Another reason to not buy a home if you don't plan on living in the home for a long time. Because the economy is so unpredictable and there's lots of uncertainties in the housing market, it's not the best time to buy, and it can be pretty risky. So to mitigate some of that risk, what you can do is commit to living in the home for, let's say, about 10 years. By doing that, you're giving yourself plenty of time to build equity in the home. Even if prices do decrease, hopefully within those 10 years, the real estate market starts to balance a bit, prices increase on homes again, and of course you'll be paying down the principal on your loan and gaining equity in the property. If you're thinking about growing your family or you're going to downsize in the next few years, you want to make sure that the home you're going to purchase is something that's going to make sense for the long run. Another reason not to buy a home in 2024 is if you're feeling pressure to buy. This pressure might come from real estate agents, family members, lenders, or maybe just the general outlook that people have about the housing market right now. So what I mean by that is there's a bit of a scarcity mindset when it comes to buying a home right now because inventory is low in a lot of places. There aren't a lot of homes on the market, so people are concerned if they don't buy a home now, when will they be able to buy? Which is a very valid concern. But I have seen some people who bought a home within the past couple of years and they felt pressured to buy a home. Now they're having buyer's remorse. That's one of the things that we really want to try to stay away from if at all possible, because if you end up having buyer's remorse and you want to sell your property and you haven't owned it for a while, there's the potential that you're going to lose money on the sale of the home. Another factor that might stop people from buying a home in 2024 is the return of student loan payments. You might be someone who has a student loan and you have to start paying it again, and that'll affect your debt to income ratio and how much you can afford. Because of that, it might might be best to focus on paying down your debt and not buying a home. By giving careful consideration before buying a home in 2024, you can be confident that you're making the right decision for yourself. To learn how to buy a home with a lower interest rate, check out this video or this playlist about the home buying process. Thanks for watching to the end, especially if you're a subscriber.